I just watched the Fall Guy movie and oh my god, what an amazing movie. It's reminded me why I became a screenwriter in the first place and gave me hope that original movies can be sold. Big stars can do original movies that aren't based on books or aren't sequels or prequels or part 2, part 3, part 200 or based in the same universe, blah blah. Original movies have a chance to be made, so us original screenwriters, yay, we do have a chance to sell our original movie scripts. I just watched the Fall Guy movie and it was such an amazing movie, but it's actually based on an 80s TV show with the same title, so no, it's not an original movie like I thought. It gave me so much hope before I googled that. But you know, it's a great start to the topic today. We want original movies. Aren't you fucking bored of prequels, sequels, part 100 of the same shit? Or based in the same universe but from someone else's POV? Or book adaptations and all of that? Like seriously, can we make original movies and shows? Why is Hollywood so stuck on the same things over and over again? For example, do we really need a Harry Potter TV show? Do we really need it? Don't get me wrong, I love Harry Potter. I grew up with it. I loved Star Wars. I grew up with those old movies. But I don't like the new ones that were made after that. Why are we remaking those things over and over again? Or like having different stories in the same universe? I don't want that. Can we stop at some point and find new things? Let me know in the comments if you know the answer as to why they do this. But let me give you my answer. It's because it's easy, lazy, and risk-free. And it's made for the lazy audience. I'm sorry, you might not be the lazy audience here, but it is actually made for those people who don't want to get up from their couch and go to the movie theater for some random ass unknown question mark movie, because they are lazy when it comes to entertainment. They don't want to give chance to new things, so obviously producers are going after those lazy audience members. In reality, the true fans, I'm sorry, but again, the true fans of the cinema, like actual people here who are working in this industry, like me, passionate fans, I hear nothing but demand for original stories. Let's hear from another writer in this industry. She's the owner of a production company, a screenwriter, an actress, and an artist overall. Listen up.
So I feel that Hollywood is just afraid of tackling new ideas. There's so many writers out there that have original ideas and they want to share them, but Hollywood keeps on making prequel and sequels and after prequel and sequels. So they're just afraid of just giving newcomers a shot. I mean, everything has to start somewhere. And movies from the 1920s with Charlie Chaplin, that was a fresh idea. Sound was a new thing. Color was a new thing. So it's a shame that Hollywood, as far as it has come, they forgot where they started.
You know, I can record all the other people I know, from cinematographers to directors to newer generation producers, and they'll actually tell you the same thing. I am tired of seeing the same things over and over again. It's so annoying. I literally canceled my AMC subscription at this point because I don't want to keep going to these movies, you know? Sure, cool action scenes, but I read a much better script that was original last week, and I'd rather see that on the screen than a new Star Wars movie. I know crazy Star Wars fans wouldn't agree, but that's not who I'm talking to. And this is just an example, and I used to be a crazy Star Wars fan too, by the way, so no judgment. I'm just tired of the same things over and over again. It's like, where's the creativity in that? And this shit of making prequels, sequels, part 200s, adaptations and all that, it's not because of lack of original stories. There are tons of them here. There are tons of screenwriters and filmmakers with amazing stories and scripts. They're out there pitching their ideas to a lot of producers and companies. As I told you guys in the last episode, 2 scripts were sold to big companies. One was an adaptation from a book, whatever, but the other one was an original script that was actually so good. It's called Rebel, by the way. They both didn't get made after they were sold. You pay the writer, but you don't make it. You don't make this original movie. why? Even in the Fall Guy movie, you hear the producer character say, they're gonna pull the plug on this production. Just like that, goodbye, we're pulling the plug. Ugh. Anyway, it's so annoying. I'm sorry if this sounds like a rant today, but I have great points to make here. Let's begin. 1. If you want to be a screenwriter, learn how to write books. They are so obsessed with IP-based projects. This IP obsession comes from having an existing fan base. Think of this recent book series. It's called A Court of Thorns and Roses. There are a ton of people excited about the TV show, including me. So they like that. They want that. It's risk-free investment because the audience is ready to consume that entertainment. Investors and producers and the studio, they will make their money back. And knowing that is, well, it's fucking lazy. I'm sorry, but you're not doing art. You're just being a smart businessman, a smart entrepreneur. No hate, but also a little bit. I met with a lot of producers in Hollywood, including an Apple TV producer, Netflix one, managers who have connections with HBO, a show I got hired to rewrite. It got pitched to HBO almost before the WGA strike hit. But you hear this one thing from all these executives. Is this based on a book? Question mark. Like, no, it's not, because I'm a screenwriter. If I knew you were going to keep asking that, I would have done my master's in book writing and not screenwriting. So seriously, if you want to be a screenwriter, go learn how to write books. You'll learn screenwriting later. Just get your book out there to the audience. Make sure it's something good. Seriously, last time I met this producer from Apple TV, he loved my science fiction TV show. He was like, this is a gem. This is a hidden gem. This is amazing. Then he asked, do you have a book? When I said no, he straight up said, well, I can't take this to my boss then because they don't make anything that's not based on a book or something that's going to bring the fan base. It's so annoying to keep hearing that as a screenwriter. But hey, I'm at least writing the book now. But again, I wish I did my master's in something that's going to teach me how to write a novel because it's very different than screenwriting. In screenwriting, you cut to the chase. You can't beat around the bush. Your audience is the producer who will get bored if you keep on describing and describing and describing. I'm reading this book, you know which one it is. I read A Court of Thorns and Roses. Now I'm reading Mist and Fury, so second book or whatever. Gosh, like, cut to the chase, ma'am. I love the books, but it's so slow, especially in the beginning. Blah, blah, blah. She's wearing this, she's wearing that. Someone approaches very slowly. She's thinking this about this person who's approaching. And it's like 2 pages of whatever she's thinking until this person approaches. Like, I don't care. I'm sorry. I'm just trained to cut to the chase. That's what happens when you do your master's in screenwriting and train yourself to be a screenwriter first. Now I have to take my pilot episode, right? TV pilot episode that I'm writing a book about and make it like 10, 20 chapters of a book. Then write the rest of the chapters and make it like 500, 600 pages of a novel. Great. Amazing. Ugh, I already did the first 10 chapters, but you know what I'm saying, right? So if you're listening to this and you want to sell an original idea, write the book first. You won't hear anyone else say this. Believe me, I listen to a lot of screenwriting podcasts and filmmaker Q&As. No one says this. I wish they did, because again, I would have taken a different path and maybe saved, 6 years of my life. 2. Train yourself to be hired in prequels, sequels, and adaptations. I'm sometimes very glad that I did my master's in screenwriting. Don't pay too much attention to my rant and stuff. Obviously, I get frustrated sometimes. But what they did in the master's is train us to write in the style of whatever is asked of us. We had this writer's room where we acted like we were working in the writer's room of Brooklyn Nine-Nine, and we had to write a full-on. First, we had to make up a new season. It wasn't out yet. It was season 7 or 8. I can't remember. Is there even season 8? I don't know. But we developed the story. Where would the story go? What would Jake Peralta is doing? What is Amy doing? And blah, blah, blah. So that was fun because we had to find the voices of the characters that the creators and other writers have already created. So by training this way, if you're hired for adaptations too, which I'm often hired to do that, I can quickly understand what the author needs, what the story needs, the tone and style that I have to protect and cherish. As much as we are, or I am, tired of seeing these same movies, like, oh my god, before the Fall Guy movie, there were at least 10 trailers that played before. The movies were Planet Apes, Mad Max, Joker, A Quiet Place 2, Impeccable Me. I adore Mad Max and Joker, so whatever. But Planet Apes, there are 11 movies in the same universe. We don't need to see more. I won't be watching it. A Quiet Place 2? Okay, I love the diverse cast, so thank God. But you don't have to make A Quiet Place 2. You can find similar ideas, similar movies out there that are from newer writers or even established writers with new original movie idea. You can find something like Aliens and you have to be quiet for them to not spot you, or like a mutated creature unleashing hell to this town and now you have to be quiet for it to not hear you because it doesn't have eyes. Boom. Why do we need a second movie? I just don't get it. I will never get it. And I mean, I do get it. It's lazy producing, it's lazy consuming, but I don't get it in a sense that I look at it as art. But of course, for them, it's $1 billion industry. You want to see the same things over and over again because you're then gonna purchase dolls and shit that are in the same universe and you're gonna go to those rides in Universal. So making it a franchise is gonna make them money. So I get that. Anyways. This takes me to the third and the most important point of today's episode. You have the power to make a change. So that power is given to them by the audience. The $1 billion industry power of franchises, it's given to them by the audience, by you guys, by us. We have to remember that. You have the power to be like, you know what? I want to support original movies. So Emily the Criminal, let's watch that instead. That movie Joaquin Phoenix did, the indie one. Come on. What a beautiful, heartfelt movie. So if you say, yeah, I'm going to stop being lazy and actually care about original creators and writers. So I'm going to put my time and energy into consuming original things, web series, short films. I'm going to check out what younger filmmakers are doing, right? Then you can change the world. But hey, I'm just a girl with a mic. That's also why you see some stars and great actors doing original movies and shows. Some produce it on their own, like the OA, Emily the Criminal with Aubrey Plaza, Malcolm and Mary with Zendaya, and more that I cannot possibly list. But they do these original projects and they bring their audience to it. They basically make the money from these big prequels, sequels, adaptations, and things like that. Then they bring that money to making original stuff because they care about it. But you know, due to the lazy audience, again, I'm sorry, but some of you are very lazy. Due to the lazy consumership, they usually don't make the same amount of money they invested. So the original movie, even though a star was attached, it rarely gives you any financial return. So since there is no financial return, we are back to looking at big studios and big production companies to make the same shit over and over again. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to end this number 3 with a hopeless statement. It started with you have the power to make a change and ended with they make the same shit to make more money off of you. But it's the truth. You do have the power, but you just have to wake up to what they're doing to you, how robotic you become by consuming the same things over and over again. And you know what? Let me say something here so I don't seem like I'm trying to put anyone down. I have seen iZombie over and over again over the years. 8 times to be specific, the entire series. Vampire Diaries and the original 6 times, maybe more. Schitt's Creek, I'm rewatching for the 4th time. But you know, the psychology behind it is basically comfort. So we just have to be aware of that and make sure we look at art in a different way sometimes, because original art, you know, sometimes like there's an original movie and I feel like I'm really gonna see this now. I don't know, like come on. Oh my god, I was not sure how that was gonna be. I love Joaquin Phoenix, so that was the only reason I went there, but I was like, oh, should I cancel the ticket? But then I went there and I'm like, I cried the whole time. I was like, this is why I became a screenwriter. Look at this beautiful original movie. So good. So now let's talk about the 4th point of this episode. 4, if you want to be a screenwriter, analyze your audience, analyze their behavior. Or if you're an audience member who's curious about these things and functions of whatever Hollywood, then analyze your behavior and the behavior of the masses. When it comes to consuming entertainment, do they like choosing the safest option? Or do they like excitement? Or you know, people change, things change according to the seasons, whatever. So what type of movies flop and when? What type of movies succeed and when. During my MFA in screenwriting, one of the biggest things we learned was, and this was actually a weekly test, it was so annoying, but then it clicked why they were making us do this. Every weekend, we would check the box office rankings, see which movie flopped and which movie exceeded expectations, and they would literally ask questions. Like, we had to know exactly the gross they made over the first weekend, the second weekend, the third weekend, and what type of marketing strategies they were using during those weekends and what helped them, what made them flop, and like how many people went to see the movie and in which country did they make the investment back and things like that. And at what point did they make the investment back? And at what point they started to actually make money. Analyzing these things for years, every weekend, it actually opens your mind to seeing what succeeds when. And producers can take steps according to that. When Taylor Swift's concert movie was coming out, they changed the release dates of some movies. That was a very good call. But as a screenwriter, you can see what type of stories are in demand and write some scripts accordingly. And also, you see what type of stories or genres specific production companies or producers make. So then you target those producers, companies, stars, and other people involved to then arrange a meeting and pitch it to them. So that's also an important thing to become a screenwriter. I want to leave you today with some questions. Will you also be brave enough to speak up about the things that you think, despite how people would react? Because this episode is literally that, me shitting on prequels, sequels, and adaptations. Again, some I like, but I don't want this lazy consumership of entertainment, right? So change is necessary. We're the next generation of creators and filmmakers. Are we going to follow in the footsteps of greed and power and money? Or are we going to be brave enough to embrace our inner strength and calling for original stories? Calling for telling our own stories, our own perspectives. And there are people out there who need to hear your story. They don't need to hear another Star Wars story. I'm sorry. They really don't. So yeah, that's it for today. I really hope this was helpful to open your eyes to the reality. And if you find yourself triggered at any point, I'm sorry, do some self-reflection before commenting, okay? I know I even triggered myself at times, but we have to have some difficult talks. Thank you for being here. Make sure to like this video, and if you're watching it on YouTube, don't forget to subscribe, and I'd appreciate it if you could rate this podcast 5 stars on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. Like, even if you're watching it on YouTube, please find me on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, follow it, turn on the notifications, rate it 5 stars. That will be the biggest gift that you can get me. Thank you, and see you next time.